Hello there and welcome fans to another episode of 162 Times, your daily baseball recap and preview show. I'm your host, Daniel Turner. It is great to be with you. We are back at the home base. We are back in Ottawa. Been away for 2 weeks, 16 days really, traveling the world. It's been fabulous. Absolutely outstanding experience in Spain and Portugal. Highly recommend if you're able to make the trip over there. Two very interesting countries, fascinating history, lots of cool stuff to look at, and very little baseball. So I was doing my best to add a little bit of baseball to it while I was there. In the period that we were gone, the Mariners have completely fallen off the wagon. They're barely above 500. The Astros have won most of their games, thus keeping themselves about 4.5 games ahead of the Mariners. The other divisions have changed and gone, and today is Monday, so we're going to do our Sunday on a Monday recap. Perfect time to bring back a big full episode. Before we do that, however, we do have to talk about some Mariners moves, some Mariners roster moves, really. And the biggest one of all is that manager Scott Servais was fired, and he was replaced by longtime Mariner catcher Dan Wilson for the final 34 games of the season, and it wasn't an interim thing. Dan Wilson was named the Mariners manager going forward by GM Jerry Dipoto. Interesting maneuver. I'm not sure if Scott Servais was to blame entirely for the Mariners' woes, but they did do a couple things this year. One was they set a record for the fastest amount of time it took to lose a 10-game division lead with 24 days. They were in first place in the AL West, up 10 games on June 18th. 24 days later, they'd lost the division lead. Unbelievable. They've had more quality starts this year, which is a pitcher going 6 innings and giving up 3 earned runs or less than I think any other team. Perhaps not any other team, but they've had a whole heap of those. And they have not won enough of those games. They've struck out double-digit times over 78 games this season, which is insane. You can't expect to win a lot of games when you do that. And they have scored less than 3 runs so many times, I've lost count entirely. So that's just not been good enough to win ball games, and that Scott Servais got the boot. Now, is it a little too much hanging on to nostalgia from a not overly successful period like 1995 when Dan Wilson was one of the star players and they won the division after being down 12.5 games to the California Angels, yada, 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 lost to the Yankees in the ALCS, yada, yada, yada? Yeah, it is. Is it a serious baseball move? I'm not sure yet. Is Dan Wilson a smart guy, a good baseball man, a good man? Absolutely. Scott Servais was one of those guys, too. He led the Mariners to a playoff berth and a playoff series win in his 11th season, something that hadn't been done in the prior 10 seasons to that. Remember, they broke a 21-year playoff drought in Scott Servais's time. Equally, he finished with a record of about plus 35 over 500, I want to say, which is, again, something that hasn't been done really in Mariners franchise history. He was the guy for 11 years, and I liked him and thought that he was pretty good. All right, that's all I'm going to say on that. Mariners roster moves of note. August 23rd, they recalled lefty Gabe Speier from Tacoma. That's good news. They also sent J.P. Crawford to a rehab assignment down in Tacoma. That means he's coming back. That's good. Bad news is right-hander Jimmy Garcia that they got from the Jays is on the 15-day IL. He'd really been struggling, so maybe that explains it. And there's some other minor moves up and down from Tacoma and whatnot. So those are the main things. All right, to today's main actions. We're going to be recapping the final game, the Sunday game between the Mariners and the San Francisco Giants from T-Mobile Park in Seattle. Mariners won this one 4-3, moved to 66 and 65, still second in the American League West. Giants dropped to 66 and 66, fourth in the NL West, one of the strongest divisions in the majors, that one is. 5 hits for the Giants, 3 runs, no errors. Mariners had 7 hits for 4 runs and 1 error. The win went to righty Brian Wu, 6-2, 2.05 ERA on the season. Reliever Sean Jelly from Minnesota, 3-4, 3.99 ERA. He took the loss. Andres Munoz, 19th save of the year, 1.8 ERA for him. All right, in terms of pitching lines, pardon me, Robbie Ray started the game. Former Mariner, former Blue Jay, started the game for the Giants. He only went 3 innings before leaving with hamstring tightness, 1 hit, 1 run, 3 walks, 4 Ks, 4.7 ERA for him. He's pitched 62 pitches. Hele took over, 2 2/3, 4 hits, 3 runs, 1 strikeout, 42 pitches. On the Mariners side, it was Brian Wu going 7 innings in 94 pitches, 4 hits, 2 runs, only one of them earned, 7 Ks and a homer, no walks. Excellent work. Colin Snyder, out of the bullpen, got a hold. 1 inning pitched, 1 hit, 1 run, 2 walks, 2 Ks, 1 homer. And then Munoz, 1 inning, 2 walks, 2 Ks. 11 strikeouts for Mariner pitching. Only 8 strikeouts for Mariner hitting. That's really, really good. All right, in terms of the scoring, top of 1, Heliot Ramos homered, his 20th of the year. Taylor Fitzgerald scored 2-0 San Francisco after 1. But bottom of 1, Cal Raleigh caught it back on a single that scored Dylan Moore 2-1. Bottom of 5, Julio grounded into a force out, which allowed Josh Rojas to score to tie the game. Then bottom of 6, Mitch Haniger grounded into a double play, but Randy Arozarena was able to score. And then that same inning, with a man on third, Josh Rojas singled in Justin Turner to make it 4-2, which was useful because Grant McCray hit his second homer of the year in the top of the 8th to make it a 1-run game, but that's as close as the Giants would come. Excellent stuff there. Elsewhere in the scoreboard that night, Sunday, Nats over the Braves 5-1 National League. Who cares? D-backs over the Red Sox 7-5. Thank you. That's helpful in the wild card if we have to go there. Pirates over the Reds 4-3. Yanks over the Rockies 10-3. Blue Jays over the Angels 8-2. Guardians over the Rangers 4-2. Marlins over the Cubs 7-2. Cards over the Twins 3-2. Phillies over the Royals 11-3. Tigers over the White Sox 9-4. A's over the Brewers 4-3. Padres over the Mets 3-2. Dodgers over the Rays 3-1, and the Astros unfortunately beat the Orioles 6-3. Okay, so today we have a game. The Mariners are hosting the Tampa Bay Rays for a 3-game set, so we're going to preview that one for you here. Should be an interesting game. We do know the batting lineups and everything like that. So it's Ryan Pepio who's going to start pitching for the Rays. He's 7-5, 3.68 ERA, 20 starts, 100 innings pitched, 107 strikeouts, 1.07 WHIP. Pretty good numbers. On Seattle's side of things, they are giving the ball to Bryce Miller, who is 9-7, 3.34 ERA, 26 starts, 145 innings, 137 strikeouts, 1.01 WHIP. Excellent numbers from Bryce. He's been pitching great of late. Backing Bryce up, it'll be Luke Raley leading off, playing first, Julio in center, Cal catching, Randy Arozarena in left, Polanco at second, Turner DHing, Rojas at third, Canzone in right, and Rivas at shortstop. And for the Rays, it'll be Carlson in left, Lau at first, Caminero DHing, Morel at second, Lowe in right, DeLuca in center, Caballero at third, Rortvedt catching, and Walls at shortstop. So, should be an excellent matchup. Now, before we go, we are going to do our standings recap. So we'll start with the Hogs in the AL East. You've got the Yankees leading the division now, 78-54, 2-game lead on Baltimore, who are at 76-56. Baltimore has a 3-game cushion in the wild card. Yankees have 131 run differential on the positive side. Baltimore has an 86er. Boston's in third place, 67-64, 5.5 back in the wild card, 10.5 back in the division. The Rays are in fourth, 65-65, 12 back in the division, 7 back in the wild card, minus 56 on the differential for them. The Jays rounded out at 65-68. They're 7-3 in their last 10. They won 5 in a row and have a minus 60 run differential. They're 8.5 out of the wild card. AL Central, Cleveland Guardians, 75-57. They lead the division by 1 game over the Royals, who are 74-58. The Royals also have a 1-game cushion in the wild card, and the third place Twins are 72-58. They're 2 games back in the division, and they are holding the final American League wild card spot. Tigers are in fourth at 65-66 with a 9.5 game deficit in the division and a 7.5 game deficit in the wild card. White Sox are last place in that division, worst team in baseball. Fastest team to 100 losses in over 100 years. They're 31-100, 43.5 games back in the division, 41.5 back in the wild card. They have been eliminated. They have a minus 267 run differential. Truly atrocious. Only division that matters, AL West. Here come the Astros, 70-61. They are winning the division, 4 games up on the Mariners, who are 66-65, 4 games back, 6.5 back in the wild card for your beautiful M's. Astros have a plus 72 differential. The M's have a plus 15. Rangers are in third place, 60 and 71, 10 games back in the division, 12 and a half back in the wild card. Then the A's, 56 and 75, and the Angels, 54 and 77. Over to the National League, the Phils lead the East, 77 and 54, 6.5 up on Atlanta, 70 and 60 they are. Atlanta holds a wild card spot, the final one in the National League. The New York Mets are in third place in that division, 68 and 63, 9 back in the division, 2.5 back in the wild card. Nats are in fourth, 59 and 73, and the Marlins, 47 and 83, round out that division. NL Central still led by your Milwaukee Brewers, 75 and 55. They lead the Cubs by 10 games. The Cubs are 66 and 66, so 5 back in the wild card, same as the Cardinals at 65 and 65. The Reds are 63 and 68, 12.5 back in the division, 7.5 back in the wild card. The Pirates 62 and 69, 8.5 back in the wild card. In the West, it's the Dodgers 78 and 53, but not so comfortable anymore. Only 3 games ahead of the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are 75 and 56. They have a 4.5 game cushion in the wild card. The Padres, third place in that division at 74 and 58, have a 3 game cushion in the wild card. They also are only 4.5 back of the Dodgers in the division. The Giants are 66 and 66. They're 5 back in the wild card. The Rockies are 48 and 83 and well out of it. So those are your standings. Yankees are the best team in the American League. Dodgers are the best team in the National League and also overall. Worst team is the White Sox by a mile. Thanks for listening, guys. We appreciate it. We'll be back to regular programming. We'll be watching the Rays game a little bit tonight. And we appreciate you for tuning in. Bye-bye.